You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
Perhaps, and would wait, it's possible that the existing summit could take place or a summit at some later date.
We'll see what happens. It could even be the 12th. We're talking to them now. They very much want to do it. We'd like to do it. We're going to see what happens.
Yesterday, President Trump cancels his summit with North Korea. Today, the White House says not so fast, and here we go again with fire and fury. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Conan. Welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the week in Washington in a moment, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. You can just call him Al. The season's first named tropical system, subtropical storm Alberto, has formed in the Caribbean. You are looking live at our tower cam showing some gray skies after scattered showers throughout the day. Now let's head over to ABC 7's chief meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Bob.
And some people may be wondering, Alan, why it's called subtropical Alberto. It's because it doesn't have the classic look of a tropical storm. There's not much storminess around the center of low pressure. All of it's blown to the east, so it's not vertically stacked. On top of that, it doesn't appear that it's going to gain any kind of tropical storm appearance until possibly Sunday as it makes its way toward the North Gulf Coast states, and it could be a strong tropical storm by then. Conditions are somewhat favorable. Notice this is where the center is, right here. We're starting to see some deep convection developing just to the southeast of the rotation, which is right there. Again, the majority of the heavy rainfall is to the east thereof. If you project this low to move in this direction, where does all this go? Right into Florida. And that means we are going to see a tremendous amount of rainfall here, and a flood watch is in effect. I'm certain that some areas of Florida, it's too early to tell, will get under a flood warning, especially on in through Sunday. While the winds are at 40 miles an hour, it's drifting to the east at 2 miles an hour. We have to keep an eye on that drift. The further east it moves, the closer it may be to us in the long run. It's not going to hit us directly, but we are going to see a tremendous amount of rainfall on that eastern side. Now, it will make a move on Saturday by 2 a.m. It should be up in between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula. By Saturday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it should be just out into the Gulf of Mexico, and then by Sunday, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and it looks as though it will continue to gain strength as it makes its way and bends off toward anywhere from Louisiana over to Mobile, over even possibly to Pensacola and Panama City. There are tropical storm watches up already for this system, as it is going to make landfall, looks like, sometime late Monday and then hang around over the southeast. So it's going to be a wet weekend for many folks in the southeast United States. Get a look at the rain right now. It's been heavy earlier. We're getting a little break, but look at all the rain down to our south. It is all working northward and will continue to do so throughout the day on Saturday. This line continues to kind of pinwheel up. So Osprey, you're going to get some heavier rainfall in a minute. Venice is getting some heavy rain right now. And this particular area from Venice southward to Inglewood over the past 5 days has had up to 7 inches of rainfall. Flood watch is in effect, and everywhere you see the green there, and looks as though the storm risks run like this. High rip currents, especially on Sunday and Monday. Damaging winds won't be a big concern. The strongest winds will be on Sunday, it appears, and those will be around 20 to 30 miles an hour, and then heavy rain and rough seas to follow. Well, much more in our weather forecast coming up in a few minutes. Alan?
Thanks, Bob. A local state of emergency is being declared in Manatee County. County commissioners voting to move ahead with the declaration because of Alberto. ABC 7's Rick Adams joins us now from the Manatee County Administration Building to explain what it means. Rick.
Yeah, Alan, right now it is very calm here, but they are preparing for the weekend. County officials tell us declaring this emergency allows more county staff to be available. It also makes sandbag locations available and allows evacuation shelters to open if they need it.
The biggest reason we're doing it is because this area has been inundated with rain over the last couple of weeks, and a lot of our area is already saturated. So the 4 to 8 inches they're predicting that could arrive in this area will just exacerbate what is already starting to become a problem. So we're worried about areas that are prone to localized flooding, things of that nature. So it's more the rain than the actual storm itself.
And if you do need sandbags, you can get them tomorrow from 8 until 5 at the MCAT facility on Talavast Road. Reporting live from Bradenton, I'm Rick Adams. Alan, back to you.
Rick, thank you. A sales tax holiday starting next week. Retailers are expecting big spending on disaster preparedness supplies by Floridians who still have fresh memories from Hurricane Irma. The disaster preparedness holiday period is projected to cut state revenue by $4.6 million. Local governments will experience a $1.2 million reduction in revenue. According to state economists, beyond batteries and generators, other tax-free items will include tarps, flashlights, battery-powered radios, and portable gas tanks.
It starts right when hurricane season kicks off June 1st, as opposed to being later on in the summer. So people can load up early on in the year, and they don't have to wait, and then you don't have to wait till later on in the summer where potentially a hurricane is coming or is already hit, and it's kind of almost too late.
And just as a reminder, next Friday, June 1st, right here on ABC7 at 7, Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan and the rest of the ABC7 First Alert Weather Team will have an hour-long show on what you can expect this hurricane season. The NCAA Division I, II, and III Women's Rowing National Championships are now underway at Nathan Benderson Park. Many of the young women competing in the championships are from the Suncoast. Stanford senior Devin Norder started her career at Nathan Benderson in 2010 as part of Sarasota crew. The Pineview graduate says a lot of training is still the same, except for bigger stakes.
It's all about, honestly, like the grind. So day in and day out, it's about practicing 2 times a day, eating clean, staying healthy, twice a day practices.
The championships will run throughout the weekend, but schedules are subject to change because of the inclement weather. Can a recent ruling in a lawsuit against the city of Sarasota end up hurting taxpayers for the next several years? One local expert on local government believes it can. A jury awarding a developer over $49 million in damages. That developer, Buck Leiter, claimed the city breached a contract in 2008, then won an appeal, leading to the most recent judgment. If upheld, the debt could affect the city's credit, existing loans, and ultimately tax rates.
What is the city going to do to satisfy it, and how they're going to do it? If I were a creditor, you would want to know those questions.
This is a long way to go. You know, nobody's taxes are going to go up tomorrow. Nobody's going to lose their jobs tomorrow. I mean, this case has several years left on it.
Bentley says they tested their defense on several focus groups and made attempts to settle before this case went to a second trial. About half of those fake juries sided with the city. After facing consumer boycotts and student protests for its generous support of Florida governor candidate Adam Putnam, Publix is suspending all political contributions. The reason for the backlash? Publix's support for Putnam, who referred to himself as an NRA sellout. David Hogg and other students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland organized a die-in this afternoon at a Publix parking lot, and we'll have more on this coming up tonight on the Trapezoid. And still to come, the on-again, off-again bromance between President Trump and North Korea leader's dear leader. Stay with us.
I used to dread getting up and going to work.
I was done with the corporate grind.
I was tired of being a starving artist.
And I started looking around for a business that I believed in, and I kind of wanted to do something a little more green.
My SCORE mentor helped me take the first step.
He helped me create a business plan and helped me implement it.
They've really taught me how to think big.
SCORE helped me to make the unimaginable possible, all for free. I'm here because of SCORE.
I'm here because of SCORE.
Get your free business mentor at SCORE.org.
There's nothing like this trail in Alabama. It just goes from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state. We see all kind of different terrains, great value, great fun. We've been coming for 18 years. We started off with a group of 8, grew to 12, and grew to 16. And we love it because where else can you get world-class golf courses with world-class accommodations? To be able to play these type of courses in this environment, and the difficulty keeps us coming back over and over and over again.
My name is Julius. I have cerebral palsy. I work for Farmer Jeffrey Weising Law Firm. I do a lot of data entry and scanning documents. I want to increase my working experience to make the company much better. At the end of the day, it's good to think of the day's work and to think about what I have accomplished.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to abilitieswork.employflorida.com.
A decade of war has taken an unprecedented toll on our men and women in uniform.
Hundreds of thousands of our veterans are suffering from the trauma of war.
At Justice for Vets, we believe that every veteran should have the opportunity for treatment and restoration.
Get involved and go to justiceforvets.org.
Help put treatment within reach of veterans in crisis.
Veterans fought for our freedom. Now it's our turn to fight for theirs.
WWSB ABC7 is an equal opportunity employer, and we're looking for qualified people to join our dynamic team. For a list of current openings and to apply online, visit www.mysuncoast.com/contact/employment. If you're a motivated team player and you want a rewarding career in a fun, fast-paced working environment, WWSB ABC7 could be the perfect fit for you. Check out our list of openings now. Keep up with the Suncoast. Watch your favorite ABC7 shows on your streaming device.
In our latest episode, one day after President Trump scrapped his plans for a historic summit with North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un, he's now signaling it could actually happen. Natasha Chen has more on the revolving rhetoric from Washington to Pyongyang.
It's beginning to feel like a high-stakes game of diplomatic whiplash. Less than 24 hours after President Trump said this,
I've decided to terminate the planned summit in Singapore on June 12th.
He appeared to shift his tone on the scrapped meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
We're going to see what happens. We're talking to them now. It was a very nice statement they put out. We'll see what happens.
Trump referred to a statement released by North Korea leadership Friday that Kim Jong-un is still willing to meet Trump, quote, at any time despite the cancellation.
They very much want to do it. We'd like to do it.
Defense Secretary James Mattis appeared to echo Trump's more optimistic attitude.
Possibly some good news on the Korea summit where our diplomats can pull it off, may have it back on even.
What happens now is anyone's guess, but the gap on a key issue still remains. One of the reasons why the summit was canceled was because the U.S. and North Korea were reportedly not yet on the same page with regards to denuclearization.
This is really a very high-stakes game of international chicken. Each leader thinks the other needs the summit more than he does. And so they're both ratcheting up their demands.
And when asked whether the North Koreans were playing games, Trump had this to say.
Everybody plays games. You know that.
In Washington, I'm Natasha Chen.
Coming up, Sarasota's brand new mayor talks national politics and the impact on the Suncoast. One of the Suncoast's most dynamic young Republicans, one of the Suncoast's most dynamic older Republicans, and a giant in the world of Tampa Bay political journalism. The Trapezoid is next.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Since 2004, Embracing Our Differences has used the power of art and education to promote diversity. One way it accomplishes this is through its annual outdoor exhibition of 45 billboard-sized works of art, each accompanied by an inspirational quote. Join us in creating a community that is inclusive for all, where differences are embraced and individuality is celebrated. We invite you to celebrate the voices and visions of diversity and inclusion at this year's exhibit at Sarasota's Island Park.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score.
It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach.
Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think, I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Selfless service is the principle that guides Army National Guard soldiers to be ready whenever disaster strikes. They have a stake in the well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times. Selfless service. It's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more.
what to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Welcome back. Who writes this stuff? On Thursday, a North Korean official calls Vice President Mike Pence a political dummy, and angry President Trump cancels his historic summit with Kim Jong-un. North Korea issues a mea culpa of sorts. Trump says the summit may be back on. Trump says, and here we go again, Obama planted the spy in his campaign. Top congressional Republicans and Democrats meet with the DOJ and the FBI and learn, surprise, that's not true. Joining us for more are Sarasota's newly minted mayor, Liz Alpert, Nick Altier, and Frank Patty of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Mitch Perry of WMNF Radio. I say it in jest, but it almost seems like, a new episode every week. And it's been fascinating this week with the issue of North Korea. And Liz, let me start with you. Because now it appears the summit may be back on. I would imagine most Americans, Democrat and Republican, would be supportive of the possibility of an agreement with North Korea. But what do you make of the give and take of the last week?
Well, it's just sort of the pattern that we've been seeing, that it's totally unpredictable. And I think you're right. I think most Democrats and Republicans would love to see some sort of an agreement where the Korean Peninsula was denuclearized. I don't know if that would happen, but even if you had just sort of an embargo and a truce on the nuclear weapons, I think that would be helpful and make all of us rest easier.
I have a question to the two Republicans who are here tonight. Nick, and I'll start with you, because it appears that the president wants this summit very much. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, it looks like his new national security advisor, John Bolton, by making a reference to what happened in Libya, and the vice president did the same thing, resulted in North Korea basically stepping back and with that rhetoric calling the vice president a political dummy. So it seems counterproductive to what the president's intent was in the first place.
I think you might be seeing a little bit of good cop, bad cop there, but I think he's positioning himself correctly. I mean, Kim Jong-un is a very volatile personality, as you know. There's been horrific stories that we've all heard about him, and I can only understand his position as far as meeting with him and under the right circumstances as to not waste his time or Kim Jong-un's time.
But the question is, did John Bolton in particular try to basically undercut what the president wants? Because John Bolton for many years has talked about unilateral action against North Korea.
I don't believe so, but I'm not in President Trump's position, so I can't speak to that.
And Frank, it was described in the story that we saw by CNN there that it's almost a game of a chicken, because you have two leaders here, Trump and the North Korean leader, who both want this summit badly, and it's almost who's going to back out first.
You have to understand, it's posturing. This is North Korea. Remember when they sat at the table in Panmunjom and they back and forth over the chairs and all the rest? This is where it goes. That wasn't just about, calling the vice president a dummy. They also were talking about threatening nuclear again. So once they went there, the president said, great, we won't do it.
So Mitch, usually when you have these kind of summits, it's after both sides make a deal and the leaders basically come in and basically put their stamp of approval on it. It doesn't seem like we are anywhere near that.
No, because the Trump foreign policy is very different than we've had in previous presidents. Now,
What is similar, though, is ultimately Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush all had trouble negotiating with North Korea, right? This has been ongoing now with their acceleration of their nuclear program for 2 decades now. But President Trump was going to be different, right? I mean, he absolutely really wants a deal. Perhaps he wants it too much. So I think it's a way healthy that we've kind of, you know, pushed back or come back a little bit here to look at this. I also think North Korea wants something out of this. We keep on hearing about denuclearization, which is absolutely the goal from the West, but I think North Korea would like maybe for U.S. troops maybe to pull out of South Korea or do, you know, they want to trade here. I don't think that's really been happening so far. It's been kind of one-sided in the discussions. So this is harder than we thought it would be when Trump was going to get the Nobel Prize a couple weeks ago.
Right, absolutely. We are just getting warmed up, and we'll have much more on the week in Washington right after we check the first alert weather, so stay with us.
Any website selling medication may look professional and legitimate, but the vast majority of sites selling prescription drugs are doing so illegally. Criminals use websites to sell counterfeit medications that may contain life-threatening toxins. Dot Pharmacy is a website verification program that helps you identify safe and trustworthy online pharmacies. Purchasing medicine online can be safe and easy. Just look for pharmacy to the right of the dot in website addresses.
According to a new survey by U.S. News & World Report, 3 of Alabama's top 4 hotels and resorts are part of the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail Resort Collection. The Grand Hotel Marriott Resort in Point Clear, the Battle House Renaissance Mobile Hotel and Spa, and the Renaissance Birmingham Ross Bridge Golf Resort and Spa. Hey, we didn't invent Southern hospitality, we just offer more of it. Visit rtjgolf.com/resorts to find out more.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
Everyone's buzzing about Suncoast View.
I like watching the Suncoast View.
I like the Suncoast View.
The cooking segments, I love the recipes. The theater segments are terrific.
Join Stephanie Roberts, Linda Carson, and special guests on Suncoast View for hot topics, everyday issues, celebrities, food, fashion, fitness, and everything in between. Nothing is off limits.
They're just fun.
For smart, fun talk in the afternoon, watch Suncoast View, weekdays at 4 on ABC7.
Our conversation on the week in Washington continues right after we get a check on the first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
The first named storm of the season, out of the season, a subtropical storm, Alberto. And subtropical because it's not truly a tropical storm at this point because the storms are not anywhere close to the center, which is right there. You can see it spinning there. They're starting to get some convection. Most everything's blown to the right of the center, and that means it's all going to head right into Florida, it looks like. There's also another secondary low that appears to be developing right there. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Sometimes these can form a couple of different lows and then reposition themselves. Top winds are at 40 miles an hour. It's not going to be a big windstorm for us, but it will be a heavy rainmaker, obviously. It's moving to the east at 2, but that's temporary. We expect it to eventually take more of a north to northeasterly turn and then eventually head off into the Gulf of Mexico, where it will start to gain some strength. This is at Saturday at 2 p.m. Again, 50 miles an hour. The wind's expected to be around that center. And then as we move through time, Sunday at 2 a.m., 60-mile-an-hour winds. So at this time, I suspect it will become a tropical storm, meaning that we'll have more storms around the center, and it will be a closed low as well as strong winds around the center. And then as we move through time, it starts to make a bend a little bit off toward the northwest as a result of a high pressure ridge building in and a low developing to the west of it. Top winds up to near hurricane force strength, just 10 miles shy thereof. And it looks like it'll make landfall somewhere within inside this cone from Louisiana all the way over to the panhandle of Florida, the most likely spot being Mobile. But again, they're going to see some pretty heavy wind here, up to 65 to possibly 70 miles an hour. On top of that, there are, looks like storm surge advisories in effect now. A storm surge watch is already all the way over outside of the tropical storm warned areas. So that means they're going to see a storm surge up to possibly 3 to 6 feet. All the models are pretty much clustered together. This is what it's going to do, but it's getting a little bit closer to the west coast of Florida. The closer it gets, the more likely we will see even heavier rainfall here. Right now, the projection is for 3 to 5 inches with 7 inches of rainfall in some isolated areas. I think 7 inches not out of the question, especially when you consider how much rain we had just today in one storm. It produced 3 inches of rainfall in just about 2 hours' time. You can see a lot of rain down through the Keys and the Florida Straits. All that going to work its way in our direction. Storms aren't that intense right now. Light to moderate rainfall occurring in South Sarasota County, down near Venice and over in Northport. You see that heavier rainfall now near the Venice Island, as well as off toward the east near Venice Gardens. This is the rain just today over the past few hours, really. 3 inches plus right there in South Venice, 2.8 near Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte. This is over the past 6 days. And get a look at the rainfall totals, especially in South Sarasota County, where we had already 7 inches of rain. Now add on top of that an additional 7 inches of rainfall. You're going to see a good possibility of some street flooding, definitely, and some ponds and rivers and streams will go over bankful, I think, by Sunday afternoon and continuing on into Monday right there. 4.1, a little less in South Venice. Venice Gardens at 5.2, 5.6 at Gulfgate, 7.7 right there. Again, that's on Clark Road and near Bee Ridge Road Extension. And then further off to the north, not as much, up to a couple of inches to 3 inches in Manatee County. Well, the GFS forecast model has been kind of shifting back and forth. The latest run puts it a little bit closer to the sun coast, but the center never makes landfall. It stays offshore. You see that red and also yellow. That's where the torrential rain is expected to occur. A little shift to the right, though, in the next forecast models, say on Saturday afternoon. It could bring a much heavier rainfall to us on Saturday night. Sunday appears to be the worst part of this system as far as the heavy rainfall goes. We are not anticipating a big windstorm here. Winds can get as high as 25 to 30 miles an hour on Sunday as the system gets close to us. A big concern will be rip currents, possibility of some flooding and some flooding in some isolated areas. 5 to 7 inches of rainfall in some isolated areas, 3 to 5 elsewhere. And the European forecast model is a little bit closer and brings a little bit more rain to the west coast of Florida. The Euro, by the way, was the most reliable model during Hurricane Irma, so that bears watching through the next several days. Well, here's the forecast, not the best for our big holiday weekend. Expect 70% chance for showers and storms scattered about in the morning on Saturday, becoming more numerous in the afternoon. And then Sunday is a washout. The winds will pick up a little bit. And then Monday, even Memorial Day, 80% chance for showers and some heavy weather. Could see flooding on all those days, more so on Sunday and Monday. Alan will be right back after this.
Lots of sun, absolutely no fun.
Yeah, we towed it all the way up there for nothing.
Our weekend was dead in the water.
Sure, we could still sit on it, but what fun is that?
Dead boat batteries sinking your spirits? Right now, you can save $10 on Duracell Ultramarine batteries and Batteries Plus bulbs.
We should have named it the SS Going Nowhere.
Visit batteriesplus.com for a store near you.
Since 1972, Sleep King has provided quality mattresses and accessories at the best discounted prices available. Top brands like Simmons, Sealy, Serta, Beautyrest, iComfort, and more. With available free delivery, free financing, and free setup and removal. For a comfortable night's sleep with same-day delivery, even if we have to carry it on our backs. Trust Sleep King of Sarasota. Buy it today, sleep on it tonight.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score. It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach. Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think, I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free. You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Welcome back. We are talking about the week in politics, and joining us for more are Sarasota's newly minted mayor, Liz Alpert, Nick Altier and Frank Patti of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Mitch Perry of WMNF Radio. We're going to do a little bit of a U-turn here because there's some major breaking state news. Publix is announcing that it will suspend all political donations. As we know, this came about this week because of boycotts against Publix that you may have seen in the paper and from your friends on Facebook over the NRA's huge support of Adam Putnam, who's running for governor. He's the agricultural commissioner, and he described himself at one point as a proud NRA sellout. Liz, your reaction?
Well, I think that I'm kind of really surprised, but I think the kids from Parkland High School who are on Twitter all the time have just dominated social media, and they've really had an effect. And the fact that Publix would do something like that shows the power of what they're doing. And I understand this was just right ahead of a proposed die-in that the students were going to do at the Publix.
Mitch, I don't know if it was on your Facebook feed, but I've seen people all over the place, you know, saying there were alternative places. This really exploded.
Absolutely. You know, the perception among some last week was, let's say you were surprised. A lot of people were, they were poo-pooing it, basically saying, you know, Publix is an institution in Florida and everybody loves it. And yeah, there might be some liberals who are writing on Facebook they're not going to go. But and we still have to see about whether any boycott has really happened yet. But this is a major news that the corporation itself is backing off now, saying, you know, we've given over $670,000 to Adam Putnam, and we're hearing people saying they don't like that. Sure, he's the hometown boy from Lakeland and all that. But I think that what I said last week, I was on another television show, and I said, let's give it a few months. You know, it's one thing for people to say, you know, in terms of a boycott, let's look at how Winn-Dixie does in terms of their market share and some of the other Florida, you know, Whole Foods that some of these liberals are saying they're going to go, you know, go shop at. It's too early, I think, still to tell about if they're going to be affected by the bottom line. But obviously, they're concerned enough already. You mentioned social media and the Parkland kids. Absolutely, they've been kind of the instigators where they say people will actually take a lot of notice for. But I think it's an interesting development because the conventional wisdom simply was this won't go anywhere, and that's absolutely not the case at this point.
You know, Frank, you I know you're a big fan of Adam Putnam, but he has been getting a lot of negative headlines recently, including today, an editorial in the Tampa Bay Times, and let me just read the first paragraph. Send out an Amber Alert for Adam Putnam, the red-haired, affable fellow who has served capably as a state legislator, member of Congress, and agricultural commissioner, is missing. In his place is a far-right caricature of himself, branded as a proud NRA sellout, triggered a boycott of Publix, mocked the value of higher education, divided voters between caring families and liberal elites, and scheduled a fundraiser with a man who was videotaped shooting 2 pet huskies.
I think it's an exaggeration to a very good degree. He is not far right. I know Adam. Number one, yes, he is an NRA. He's a country boy. Okay.
A sellout.
Yeah. No, it's not a sellout.
He called himself an NRA sellout.
Yeah. Point is, I think that was a bad statement. He's not a sellout. Adam is very capable. He's smart. He can run the state very easily. He's probably an excellent choice for governor. I'm not taking sides on it. I can't as secretary of the Republican Party. You know, that DeSantis is also running with it too. I think in the case of the Publix, my advice to most businesses, don't put up a sign who you're voting for and don't get into that. You're going to lose half your people.
Many corporations who give a lot of political donations. Public has been under a lot of criticism because primarily or mostly they give their political contributions to Republicans.
Yeah, that's right. And the other ones, so many of them give it to the Democrats, and they don't come out with it because the newspapers won't write about it.
They've contributed $500,000 over the past 10 years to the Democratic Party, and that's just to the Democratic Party. That doesn't necessarily mean each individual candidate. So they're participating on both sides. And to that degree, being an NRA sellout, just because you're a supporter of the NRA, doesn't necessarily put you in the position that you're a pro-gun violence person. I mean, you can support the Second Amendment, the right to defend yourself. That defends the freedom of speech, our First Amendment. And you could be a good person. You don't have to be demonized just because you happen to support the Constitution.
Liz?
Well, I think, most corporations do support usually both sides. They kind of hedge their bets and make sure that they give some to the Republicans and give some to the Democrats. But I think in this case, since he was, from the area and the contributions were over a long period of time, they have been big supporters of him. And I think that the students from Parkland, and rightfully so, are very passionate about this issue. They saw their friends being shot, and you can't really take that away from them, that if it happened to you, you might think very differently and say, I have to do something about this.
No, I would say, it's been a bad week for Adam Putnam, as you mentioned, Al, he had to cancel this fundraiser yesterday because this report in the Tampa Bay Times about this the guy who's going to head the fundraiser who shot these dogs, and it was terrible. And that's not on Adam Putnam, but he had to cancel it. I think that the NRA sellout quote is really coming back to haunt him because, Parkland has changed the politics to some extent in Florida in terms of gun right. I mean, even Rick Scott passed a law that the NRA didn't approve of. Democrats are running on gun control issues the first time in the 2 decades I've lived here. So the dynamic is a little different now from Putnam than what he thought it was going to be a year ago.
Not only that, but you even had a real conservative around here, our own Joe Gruters, who basically broke down in tears at the Tiger Bay Club, saying that the NRA labeled him a failure because he voted for the gun control law that was passed by the legislature, Nick.
You can pass gun control, and we should pass it when it's reasonable. Okay. To say that we're going to collect all the guns or pick up the guns or ban them is an impossibility.
Nobody's saying that.
Yeah, but
nobody's
the point
saying
is that what you have to go on, the guns are going to be there. There's what, 300 million guns or some number? You're not getting rid of them.
Let me raise one issue because we're running out of time here, and that is the Spygate, as the president described it, accusing President Obama of inserting a spy into his presidential campaign. Those meetings were held with the Gang of Eight on Capitol Hill yesterday, and lo and behold, Mitch McConnell comes out and says he didn't see anything out of the ordinary here. Frank?
Yeah, I take that with a grain of salt. What was
Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader?
I don't care who it is. I don't agree with him. Number one, you had somebody questioning these people without saying he was from the government or the FBI. Now, it may not have been Obama, but they have to find out what happened there. It would be a terrible disgrace if someone was put in either party to do spying, and that is spying if someone's doing that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, what they were doing is what they're supposed to do as the FBI and the CIA, that if they hear, if they get reports that there are foreign agents, they're supposed to check that out. That's what they do.
It prides itself on secrecy. How can you expect it to be honest and open? It is an organization that does not reveal what they're doing, what their agenda is. So for anyone to sit there and draw a conclusion is kind of coming short. The only way to really handle this is open up an investigation on the FBI and any other party that was a part of the wrongdoing or suspected of. They're investigating Trump on a daily basis right now, and Trump should be allowed to investigate the FBI if he feels there's wrongdoing, if there's plausible evidence.
Let me answer over here.
Hold on a second. Let me just give Mitch a chance to weigh in.
Yeah, I'm kind of watching it all, like sitting back and seeing it all. I mean, I see where the Republicans are really fired up about this issue, about this so-called spy. And I do agree. I mean, let's find out more about it. I don't know. I mean, I know that what I think is the big thing, Rudy Giuliani came up this week and said that Bob Mueller was going to have a report by September 1st, which I think we need to have something by September 1st or then after the election. I think everybody might agree on that because this could affect the election.
All right, hold on just 1 second. We have to take a quick break and we'll be back for final thoughts in a moment.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $15 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand with no surprises and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 4 times in a row. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and start your 30-day risk-free trial today. Call 800-457-2317, go online, or visit a Target store today.
Each day, researchers make discoveries that bring us closer to the moment when all cancer patients can become survivors. Their progress is made possible with the help of clinical trials. Clinical trials are the brightest torch researchers have to light their way towards better treatments. And if you've been diagnosed with cancer, they may be your brightest ray of hope. Speak with your doctor and visit standuptocancer.org/clinical trials to learn more. Together, we can stand up for all of us.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
And our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And let's talk a little bit about the U.S. Senate race. Governor Rick Scott against Bill Nelson. In the last 5 weeks, and we're talking about, we are in May, the governor has spent $8.7 million on television advertising. Bill Nelson is not even up on television yet. Nick, you know, I know you're probably a supporter of the governor here, but what do you make of this?
I think historically it's been asinine the amount of money that's contributed to any political campaign, Democrat and Republican alike. That being said, I'm a supporter of Rick Scott, yes. I think he's going to go and he's going to do exactly what he did in Florida. He's going to lower taxes, he's going to bring jobs, and I think he'll be very successful. In fact, he was the one who put in place that bill you mentioned earlier. That was a bipartisan bill for safety for students, and I believe that when he gets to office, he'll probably continue on that line.
Mitch, where in the world is Bill Nelson?
Yeah, good question. A lot of Democrats are asking that these days. People are worried, actually, Democrats are. They really think that Bill Nelson might be in some trouble. They knew they could never compete financially with Rick Scott. I do believe that the Democratic Senate campaign is going to put some money in this week, actually, to put some ads up for Nelson, because, yeah, he's getting killed on television right now, where they're showing people said they voted for Nelson, but they think he's too partisan these days. It may have some effect. A long time to go, though, obviously, so, you know, stay tuned.
Liz, how concerned are you?
Well, I am concerned because he's never going to have as much money as Rick Scott. And I think that's why we're not seeing him on TV a lot. I've seen a little bit now lately, but he's got to hold off to make sure he's got money to spend at the end. So, you know, that's the issue.
Frank, are we starting these political ads way too early?
That's got to be up to the person who's running it. I wouldn't want to see any regulation when they can start. However, one of the ads should say what Nelson voted for, such as that cockamamie agreement, you know, with Iran. He voted okay. He was not voted, excuse me, because it never got to Congress. But he was all for it. ACA, he was all for it. Or everything that Republicans and a lot of people are against, especially if you got ACA now with the rates going through the ceiling.
All right, we have to leave it there. Boy, I wish we really could continue on, but thank you, everyone. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of you had to say about last night's show on the GOP tax plan. Last year, President Trump promised the American working class a big, beautiful Christmas present in the form of a tax cut. He claimed to save the middle class around $2,000 a year, but how many of you have noticed an increase in your paychecks? Anyone? Anyone? We went to Facebook for your thoughts, and Joni says a whopping $42 a month. Adam says not even a tank of gas. But George says, hell yes, I have, and I'm very happy. I'm getting an extra $50 every 2 weeks. I'm sorry, but if anyone complains about getting an extra money and you didn't have before, you need to check yourself into a psych ward. My family appreciates it. And Joni responds, sorry, do I come across as ungrateful? I think the tax plan was peddled as a much bigger boon for the average Joe. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit your Facebook page at facebook.com, at mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. Liz Alpert is the mayor of Sarasota. Nick Altier and Frank Patty are with the Sarasota Republican Party, and Mitch Perry is with WMNF Radio. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather. Plus, Harvey Weinstein turns himself into police today after being accused of sex crimes. Stay with us.
Dear parents, it's time for a pop quiz. What's the best kind of play for kids? Play that makes us think? Or helps us pretend, or teaches us rules, or to be creative. Actually, every kind of play is important, because different kinds of play give us different kinds of skills. Help us mix up the ways we play. Okay, class dismissed, now go play.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Zupan, part of the U.S. Paralympic rugby team. In my game, movement is everything. I get frustrated when my move is blocked, especially when that guy has no right to be there, even just for a minute. I love a challenge, but I don't like to play this game every day.
A message from the United Spinal Association.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our first alert weather with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Thanks, Alan. Yes, we're looking at Alberto now. It's subtropical storm. It's going to bring us a lot of rain as anticipated. Not much change there on that front. It has slipped off to the east now. It's over the water. It had been over land for the past day, but now it's over water, and it's starting to see some convection developing. Conditions are going to improve. Right now, it's hostile down there. We have a strong shear effect. That means some strong winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere kind of blowing everything east. On top of that, a very dry air that's been situated in the western Gulf of Mexico continues to kind of wrap around in the center of circulation right now. So although we're seeing storms fire up here, notice how the tops are being blown off to the northeast now. That means the winds are starting to change. It had been out of the east, and now we're starting to see a little push more to the north, and that's what's going to happen. This trough of low pressure that's down here is going to start to curve this storm back up toward the Gulf of Mexico and the North Gulf Coast states. Now, here's the forecast, a cone of uncertainty, again showing the storm starting to gain strength on Saturday afternoon, up to 50-mile-an-hour sustained winds. It will become more tropical, I think, in nature as opposed to subtropical by Sunday morning, and that's when it'll be pretty much parallel with the Keys. And then as it makes its way and break toward the northwest, top winds will be up to 65 miles an hour, and then making landfall possibly as a strong tropical storm on into Monday night, Tuesday morning. It will hang around here for a couple of days, so flooding is going to be a real concern up here as well. Up to a foot of rainfall can be anticipated from Louisiana all the way over to the panhandle of Florida as it just kind of sits and spins there in the Gulf of Mexico. Well, for us, the rain has been heavy already today out ahead of the system, and we had 3 inches of rain near the South Venice area. In some areas a little less, but more rain to the south of us in the Straits of Florida, and all this is shifting to the north as the system will move basically off to the north on Saturday. So we can expect another round of heavy weather tomorrow. I don't think we're going to see anything too severe as far as storms go. The only thing that will be severe is the heavy rainfall, which will cause some flooding problems. This rain has been situated around the Venice area for the past hour and a half. It kind of lessens up, then picks up. It's drifting very slowly off to the north right now. Not much going on from Inglewood southward to Cape Hayes, but the rainfall is coming down now in US 41, Business 41 in Venice, up to Nokomis now, all the way stretching to near Osprey. And rainfall totals, I mentioned 3 inches just in about an hour and a half's time in South Venice, just around Inglewood and to the north thereof. And then Punta Gorda had nearly 3 inches of rainfall. Estimates from the Doppler radar site, 1.5 inches in the southern end of Anna Maria Island, and that is prone to flooding, and I think we'll see some of that situation occur over the next 3 days in reality. And I know that Manatee County has already declared a state of emergency as a result of what Alberto may bring to the Suncoast. And this particular model, the GFS, shows the heaviest rain by far staying just offshore, but we'll be close enough to it that we'll get a lot of wraparound moisture even into Sunday and into Monday, and looks like we'll still see good chance for showers and storms on into Tuesday of next week. The Euro is a little bit wetter on the forecast for Florida. You can see that a little more widespread rainfall heading into the peninsula on Sunday and even into Monday. A lot of that rain kind of working its way onshore. 5 to 7 inches in some isolated areas may not be too unrealistic. We're going to see some extreme rainfall, I think. The forecast looks like this. Not too windy tomorrow. We'll see some heavy showers though around, and storms especially in the afternoon. We may get a little break in the morning hours, but then there's still a chance for a few scattered showers in the morning. And then Sunday, the rain continues at 100% chance, a southeast wind at 20 to 25. That's about the highest we'll see the sustained winds, it looks like. And then on Monday, showers and storms continuing, 80% chance for rain there. And then we taper off a little bit, but still high, 50% chance on Tuesday. And some of those storms will still be heavy rainmakers because this tropical air mass will stick around throughout much of next week. Al will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
My credit score was not that great. I didn't understand what went into my credit score. It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach.
Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free. You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me and me help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android. This is awesome. You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
In life after the military, it's our duty as veterans to have each other's back. I'm retired Colonel Greg Gatson, and it's my mission to help you get the benefits and services you've earned. If you need to file a VA claim, remember these important steps. Submit an online claim through ebenefits.va.gov. Work with an accredited Veterans Service Organization, or VSO. And if you need to attend a VA claim exam, please go. Visit this website to learn what to expect.
Imagine a world filled with pillow fights, playgrounds, and the search for the perfect climbing tree. Every kid deserves that world, but 1 in 5 kids in America struggle with hunger. At No Kid Hungry, we're committed to creating a world where every kid eats healthy food every day. We raise funds, we help families, and we lift up communities.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Checking primetime headlines, disgraced filmmaker Harvey Weinstein was escorted into a vehicle in handcuffs today after turning himself into the NYPD on sex crime charges. ABC's Maggie Rulli has more from New York.
023971, Harvey Weinstein.
Disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein turning himself into authorities in New York.
This defendant used his position, money, and power to lure young women into situations where he was able to violate them sexually.
He faces charges of rape and a criminal sex act. Weinstein denies all criminal allegations.
We intend to move very quickly to dismiss these charges. We believe that they are constitutionally flawed. We believe that they are not factually supported by the evidence.
Today's charges stem from the accusations of 2 women, one who has chosen to remain anonymous, and another, former aspiring actress Lucia Evans. Evans told The New Yorker back in October that Weinstein overpowered and forced her to perform a sexual act during a business meeting at his Manhattan office in 2004. Yesterday, she told the magazine that she decided to press charges now because at a certain point, you have to think about the greater good of humanity, of womankind.
Justice would be for him to just simply go poof, preferably behind bars. We had our lives stolen, we had our careers stolen.
Rose McGowan was one of the first women to accuse Weinstein, and today other accusers are speaking out.
I would have guessed in a million years that this would become a movement and that we would be taken so seriously.
Weinstein was able to walk out of this courthouse door earlier this morning after posting a $1 million cash bail, but he did have to forfeit his passport, and he's currently being fitted with a tracking device so that the court can monitor his every move. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, New York.
Another school shooting, this time at a middle school in Indiana. Shortly before 9 o'clock this morning, police in Noblesville received a call of an active shooter at the middle school. A teacher and a student were injured in the incident and taken to area hospitals. The accused shooter, a student at the middle school armed with 2 handguns, was taken into custody. That's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us and have a good weekend.